Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and I know what you're thinking, and the answer is yes, I did consider starting this video with an American accent and doing some really dumb joke, but I did not do that. So, you're welcome. Let's talk about the recent biggest Kill Team Open event, okay? Look, we've had a bit of a shake-up. For those of you unaware, you now know because I undoubtedly put it in the title of the thumbnail. We had a Compendium team win a large tournament. Now, for those of you that are just like going through BCP and looking at things and like, what? Allow me to quickly break it down for you. It was a 2-day event. I think it totaled around 86 players in the end. And after the first day, where there were 4 rounds, they then cut everything into pods. And we then had another 4 games on the second day. So if you're looking through, oh god, I dropped it, the BCP app, you see you've got bracket 1, bracket 2, bracket 3, bracket 4, etc., your top cut, etc. Essentially, these were sorted out through day 1, and then through day 2, everyone still had a chance to come first. You know, it's a really good way of keeping people coming back for day 2, basically. So with that said, we need to discuss the fact that a Compendium team, aka Talons of the Emperor, the Custodes themselves, the Golden Boys, won the entire thing. So we need to discuss that very quickly. It's really interesting. I do want to say first off though, before we jump into that, I just want to quickly throw it out there. People here stealing my content, all right? Let me show you what I mean, okay? We're going to wait for it. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Oh, look, what's this? Oh, this is my video from a week ago. I'm just going to throw this out there. At some point, I am going to do a can this team beat intercession? And Death Guard are going to be, you know, from the Compendium team, so it's going to be Death Guard, Talons, probably Common. Yeah, guess they can. All right. Won't do that one then. Boom. So anyway, I thought it'd be really interesting to talk about. I'm going to do a quick rundown of the top 10, but then I really just want this video to focus on how the viability of Compendium in general, the viability of Talons. How did they come first when nobody was really talking about them up until just now? And did people miss something? Does that mean there are other things in the Compendium we missed, etc., etc.? First things first, I want to say a big shout out to Jimmy Kelly, who I met whilst I was out there, and he did indeed take Talons of the Emperor to first place. We then had Shane from Command Point with Legionary. He was my bunk buddy, if you want to throw it that way. No, I've never used that phrase before, so I don't really know what it means. Let's not think about it too much. But he was cool, it turns out. Obviously, check out Command Point. We then had Mike with Navy Breachers. I saw him play on the top table a few times. He seemed like a really strong player. Honestly, any of the top 10 could have taken it, but the top 4, top 3, really strong players. It came down to a dice roll in many situations. We had Matt Howe. He's been on the channel before in the last edition of Kill Team. Check him out, obviously. With Void Dancers, we had Nick Craven with Blooded. I didn't get to speak to Nick too much, but he seemed like a really good player, really good guy. From the Plasma Spam team, they're all aces. Not the Spanish player. They're all just cool people, that's what I mean. Nesta. Unfortunately, didn't really speak to Nesta at all, actually, but another Blooded player from the Brooklyn Strategists there. The Brooklyn Rats, if you will. We'll talk about them in a mo. Great. I met a few of them. Great bunch of people, obviously. Apart from 2 of them. Mike and Joe. Bad people. Shame they have to tarnish the rest of the team with their, you know, let's not get into the drama. You guys have a lot of drama in America. Just chill, man. It's weird. Just chill. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, we then have Jeremy with Intercession. Again, Plasma Spam. Great to see them. We then had another top 10 Talons of the Emperor with Spencer there. I got to speak to Spencer. Lovely guy. But yeah, so just Talons not only won the entire thing, but they actually had 2 showings in the top 10. We then had Layla with her Corsairs, again for the Brooklyn Rats. She seemed lovely, great to meet her. And finally, we had Joey with Void Dancers, again for the Brooklyn Rats. So a strong throwing from the Rats there, with 3 of their guys in the top 10. Managed to speak to Joey. He had beautifully painted Void Dancers. Okay, that's the top 10. So I just want to... Interesting, right? 2 Compendium teams in the top 10. Now let's break it down a little bit further. Was it really 2 Compendium teams in the top 10? Or was it 2 Talons of the Emperor team in the top 10? And actually the rest of the Compendium kind of, they don't have what it takes. Why do the Talons have what it takes, but nothing else? So very quick, I did manage to get a little bit of an insight from both of them, and I can't speak to every matchup they played. We don't have that much time, and they played differently, it turns out. So Jimmy didn't even bring 4 Custodes with him. He only had 3, and so therefore in every single matchup, he never played the four Custodes team. He always played 5 Sisters, 2 Custodes. And the only thing he would swap out, I believe, is sometimes he would take 2 shields, sometimes he would take shield spear. Everything else was almost the same. I don't know so much the comp of the Sisters. In general, the few times I spoke to him, he took 3 swords, 1 flamer, 1 bolter. That was generally his list. Oh, and the only equipment you ever take, obviously, is just 5 faceplates on the Sisters, and that's it. So actually, pretty tasty. Now, when I spoke to Spencer, who goes by the name Peef online, the Peefster, if you will, interesting guy, great to have a chat with him, nice guy, and he took the full roster, so he could run pretty much whatever he wanted. And when speaking to him, he did run just 4 Custodes sometimes. Sometimes he went around with the Sisters. I don't know what his makeup on the Sisters was, but good stuff. So, with that said, it seems like the Custodes team, super strong. And I wanted to very briefly talk about some of their tricks and why, possibly, they were able to do this. Whereas, and here's my hypothesis, I suppose, another Compendium team wouldn't be able to do it. However, you've made it this far into the video, I'd like to give you a big double that didn't play. Double hello. Nailed it. Hey, that is a subscriber-only benefit, you know. If you want a double hello in the next video, like, subscribe, leave a comment right now. If you like what I'm doing here, consider checking out my Patreon, my Discord, my Vantage Point podcast, all that good stuff. You know how it is. Kill team, yeah. Okay. Custodes. One of their strongest ploys. If you think back, I think a lot of people understand why the Custodes used to be a broken team and had to be immediately patched out. What did we do? We've changed 2 things about the Custodes. We went and go from APL 4 to APL 3, and more importantly, we changed how their thing worked. Their Brotherhood of the Demigods? Maybe? So you were no longer allowed to perform an extra activation outside of your activation. An extra action outside of your activation, which was something that allowed for absolutely crazy combos that clearly shouldn't be in the game. However, we say that until there is like a Custode team, and that's like that's just their ability. They just, you can always just do this default. All of them. Oh my god. GW might do that. Let's not think about it, because that's wild speculation, but that'd be crazy. Oh no. Day 1 FAQ coming. So that was all they got changed, and nothing's been touched since then. Everybody roundly agreed that, okay, Custodes are done. They're no longer OP. You can no longer get a 21-inch charge turn 1 with no possible play from the enemy with it. Cool, they're done, let's move on. They haven't really been looked at since. Q Into the Dark, ITD. It's a different format. It's a format that relies quite heavily around economy activation. What am I smoking? around activation, action economy. That's the word, my gosh. And one of the big things is that you have a lot of line of sight blocking terrain that can be removed for an action, aka doors. And with these doors, something else that is a factor that we have to keep in mind is you cannot charge through a door. You can only ever move or normal move through a door. In general, the line of sight blocking of Into the Dark has increased the potency of melee teams and has decreased the potency of shooting teams. So, just general, overall, broad stuff we're talking about here, not to worry about. However, there is a limiting factor to charges, which is you cannot charge through a door. Therefore, it requires a setup. It requires a model to move forwards, open a door, to allow another model to charge through. And if you then look at roughly the size of a small, standard size room, you're looking at about 8 inches. Just, rough stuff here. Which means that if you have a model stood right next to a door, and you move up another model that opens the door, you can get a charge through to the other side and engage someone on the other door, okay? This is something to keep in mind. But it requires setup. It requires a turn for you to move 2 models up, and then a turn for you to open a door, and then an activation, and then another activation. This gives an enemy a chance, if not to move a model to safety, then to set up another model, so that after the charge is performed, you would be able to counter and start a trade war, aka Star Wars politics. Really, I was a big fan of the Star Wars politics of episode 1. I was really hyped to see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn start a trade war with the Gungans. I've lost, I don't know where I'm going. Trade wars of trading models, obviously, not politics. Trade embargoes, yeah, okay. What this means, Jesus Christ, I'm still jet lagged, I apologize. Okay, so things require setup, and then they get a payoff, and if your opponent knows what they're doing, generally, roughly, depending on the matchup, they will probably be okay. Now, this brought to light an ability of a ploy of the Custodes that makes them very, very good, and removes their requirement to have a setup turn, and they can just do the thing. And what that is, I actually don't know the name of it, but I can tell you what it does. It essentially makes a Custode and a sister GA2. Now, since Custodes were super OP broken, we didn't really look at that so much. It wasn't that big of a deal because we were playing open boards, and we didn't know as much, right? We didn't know as much. We're more knowledgeable now, knowledgeable people, okay, and we now have GA2, but it's not a normal GA2. Everybody, don't reach for your compendium. Don't reach for Wikipedia. Let me tell you what it does. Don't worry. It allows you to have GA2 with a Custode and a sister interchangeably. Let me rephrase that because that doesn't make any sense. What it means is you can perform an action with one model and then interweave the GA2-ness of the other model. So, and then you can go back and forth. So you could, for example, in a single activation, move up your Custode. That doesn't make sense. You can move up your sister and open a door. No, let me rephrase. I'm flustered. I apologize. Basically, you can interweave their activations. So you can do one action with a Custode, followed by an action or 2 actions or whatever you want with your sister, and then finish the next 2 APL of the Custode, back and forth interchangeably as you see fit. So essentially, as mentioned, this is removing the setup turn, so you can just move, open, charge, shoot, whatever, completely interchangeably. Real good. And I believe the way that they were generally doing this is once you got your guys set up, you'd use this ploy, open a door with a sister, charge, fight, kill, whatever you need to do with your Custode, and then your sister just moves in through onto the point, taps the point, whatever needs to occur. Okay, cool. This is obviously much more potent on Into the Dark, and this is what has allowed them, it seems, to dominate. Obviously, that mixed in with the just natural, outrageous outrageous killing ability and durability of the Custodes, right? Crazy. Like, you know, just 18 wounds, crits for 7 or whatever it is, you know, crits for 6, I can't remember, I don't know, and shields. Oh my god, shields are so good. Just parry away 2 and then just wreck them. It's amazing, absolutely stunning, and you're hitting on 2s. Yep, there you go. So just very briefly, with that in mind, could another team have done this from the Compendium? As I generally was saying in here, the other teams that I believe and would consider generally to be strongest would be Death Guard, but we've already seen Death Guard, High Fleet, Demons, and I'd say on an outside shot, you might want to take a look at Craft World as well, as I don't think Craft World has been fully explored since they got the buff, because, you know, most good players moved on from the Compendium by the time the buff had occurred for Craft World. The other thing to consider there is, I forgot what I was saying, but there is something else to consider there, but I've forgotten it, so that's really top tier, amazing, can't believe it. The reason that I think Compendium is so enticing is because it's just an easier game, you know? Like, fingers crossed, I'm at the point where I can play Intercession without thinking too much. So I've advanced somewhat from Compendium, but man, there's something still just super enticing about, forget all that, forget the ploys. What ploys do you have access to? I've got to reroll, maybe. That's it. And like, you don't have to think about anything else. You don't have to care. Screw it, play an all melee team. Why even check line of sight? Just charge everything. And I think that's really interesting. And so I really want to go back and look at, as mentioned, Death Guard. What can they really do? High Fleet, Demons, Craft World. And of course, why play them into Intercession? Because they're the default team. They're the standard team. And they're a good team. If you can't, if a faction can't beat Intercession, then they can't. Then they're not viable, right? It's fine to say that. And I think it'd be really good to run those matchups on Into the Dark, seeing how action economy changes the game, all that good stuff. Cool. Well, anyway, that was fun. If you made it to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Sumimasen, gracias, bonjour. I'm tired AF. I'm gonna go to sleep. It was a really good time, but I'm an introvert. I have spent all of my extrovert points with Play on Tabletop and then with Kill Team Open, and I need to just hide for a week. In fact, everything you're going to see from me for the next like 2 weeks is all pre-recorded stuff. So yeah, so me, I'm gone. I'm disappeared. I'm gonna sit in front of my computer and just edit things, and I hate editing. But I don't want to perform. I don't want to talk to people anymore. So have a good one, lads. Also, you're going to get a proper Kill Team Open video next, I think. But just in case, it was great to meet everybody out there. Genuinely, it was so awesome to meet just the American community. I hope I can get back out there. It was great to play against Chris Backey and against Orion Wilfong, who obviously I dumpstered both of them because I'm okay. Whew. Sorry, I don't have the extrovert points to make a joke at the moment, but yeah, it was great to meet everybody, great to play a few games. I will be back out at some point, and I will make sure if you watch my channel, you know when I'm back out there. Have a good day, everybody. Also, on the off chance you made it to the end here, let me know what your thoughts are on getting back into the Compendium. The Death Watch, that was the thing I forgot to say, the Death Watch, because they also came second in a largest, not as large as Kill Team Open report tournament, so they should also be considered, because you know what's shocker, access to 3 plasmas and a frag cannon, aka a demi plasma, pretty good as well. Who would have guessed? Stay hydrated. Goodbye.